So I'm calling this my broken heart because we all have broken hearts, imperfect hearts, and this one is imperfect, and I tried to make it good, but it just broke on me anyway, so it is what it is, but I am hoping you will like this video. Hi, welcome back to the PAFA wire wrapping channel. Last week I had you wrap this beautiful little red jasper heart. It's chunky as well as this one, but there's, as you can tell, quite a big difference in size. This is actually about 1 inch this way by 1 inch this way, and let's see, it's probably about 15 centimeters on the side as far as chunkiness. So what we're going to do is a bit different. And we're going to start with about 9 inches of, I'm using rose gold filled wire from Rio Grande, as well as about 3 or 4 inches of half round, which I'm going to wrap for the bottom. We'll probably do about 10 wraps for that. And then we're going to use some 26 gauge rose gold weaving wire. And I'm keeping it on the spool because I'm not exactly sure how much I'm going to use. We're also going to need a pair of tweezer nose pliers, wire straighteners, flush cutters, and a pair of bail making pliers. When we do the little V here, it's not going to be a hard V, so I'll probably use the round nose to make it because it's not as sharp a V as the other one would have been. So let's get started. So we're going to take our 3 20 gauge rose gold filled wires and we're going to make sure that the flat side is facing the wires of the half round here. As you can see, that's the flat side. And then we're going to do a few wraps, leaving about 1 inch or so. Probably cut more than I'll need, but I just wanted to make sure I had enough. As you go, this is likely to start bunching up on itself, the 3 wires. We're going to do a few of those, and then there's kind of a natural curve to these wires, the main wires, so you want to probably make that the inside. Just cut it so it's on the inside of the curve here. Right around the middle of the 3 wires is where you want to cut. Okay, and you can just kind of gently push that down. Don't push it down until you're ready to be finished, because you want to make sure your wraps are right around the 4.5 inch mark, because we're going to be doing 9 inch wires, so we want the wraps to be right around the center of the 9 inches. On the outside, you want your wraps, and that's 10. Okay, so about 10 wraps. Cut it again. Both sides that are cut are on the inside, and might actually be 11, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're going to squish that down a little bit so we don't poke ourselves like I just did with this end. Got my ruler here. You might want to have a ruler so you know exactly where your 4.5 inches are. So that's about 4.5 right there. So then once you have that, just kind of squish them together, and then you can press them down tightly, and they might separate when you do that, so just push them back together again. And if they're a little bit loose on the ends, push those together. Now we're going to take our bail making pliers, that's the term, and just kind of bend it like that. And then we're going to bring it to our heart, and making sure as you bend that these things stay together. You're going to bring that to your heart and make sure there's a good fit with the heart, like right there at the bottom. I don't know which side. I think I want the other side to be the front. This is glass and there are some bubbles, so I'm going to do the other side as the front. And always with your stone or your glass, make sure you put the side on the front that you find most attractive. This actually might be a little bit too tight because that is a very chunky end, and it may not look like it, but it is. And so what we're going to do is the back 2 wires are going to go like that. Okay? And then the 4 wires that will be going on the front, I'm about out of rose gold wire now, so I better not screw this up. And so it's a little bit wonky, but I'm going to try and straighten it up a little bit before. That one looks okay. Okay, so it looks a little crazy right now, but take those wires, and they're really going to kind of go straight up because they're going to go around the front. And make sure that the ones that are in the front are in the front, and the ones that are in the middle are next to them. And of course the ones in the back are for the back. Yeah, I'll probably want to just tape that in initially, and you should probably do the same if you're using a very wobbly, chunky stone like that. I would go with the back. Actually, I'm going to attach the back wires first. I mean, put them behind the stone, really, because I want them against the stone in the back. And you can even crisscross them for now if it makes it easier, which it does for me. And put the tape around the back wires. Press it down. And then I'm going to take the stone, making sure the front side is on the front, and try to get these front wires lined up the way you want. This is a very chunky stone. Okay, and then bring your tape around. If you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to turn it around so you can see a little bit better. Okay, bring these over the front. Bring your tape around. Okay, so it doesn't quite look like it's sitting in there great right now, but press it till you feel like it is. Bring that one and the other one. And actually this wire might need a little straightening, but once you take the tape off, it'll be easier to straighten a bit. But just make sure that your wires are kind of holding the stone in with the tape. Okay, and then we're going to kind of bend them up together. Basically, we want them to meet, kind of gently take that and pull your wires like toward where the gap is in the center of the heart. Do the same thing. And then you're going to kind of bring them down. And these I'm going to cross down for right now. Whoops. So you're going to kind of bring them down. And I got that a little bit wonky, so I'll need these wire straighteners again. So you're going to bring them over the top there, and then you'll do the same thing with the other ones. Just kind of pull that like that, making sure they're not crisscrossed and you have the right wires where they're supposed to be. And this is the tricky part, really, just making sure that these are, and it's always best to pull from the top, not from the bottom, when you want to move them over, so you don't put any unnatural bends in there. And once you have them to where all of them are pretty much going into that little crevice where the heart center is, okay, then you're going to take your 26 gauge weaving wire, and you can do this from the left or the right. I'm left-handed, so I'm more likely to do it left, so I'll try and move over here a little bit so you can see it. I am going to bring this underneath, and then I'm going to wrap under one wire. I'm going to separate these out. A couple of times, leaving a little bit of a tail, because you never know when you might need a little bit of a tail. tail that you can get out from under the tape. Okay. So we've got 2 over that 1 wire. Okay. We're going to take this back and we're going to go in between these 2, if we can separate the right 2 out. Okay. And just hold on to that tail for some stability and go under the next wire. And this is going to be tricky until you really get it going. Try to get it as tight as you can, but not distorting the wires when you do that. So we're going to go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, 4. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at this math thing. Now, what you're going to do is the same thing under the next wire. And I'm sure those of you who are astute have already figured out that you know how this pattern is going to go. But you do want to try and get these a little bit close to each other because it's got to look really uniform. And if you have to kind of use your pliers so that you can get it tight, and do that a second time. I hope you guys are enjoying February so far. It has been a tumultuous time in our lives here in this country, but hopefully we're all surviving it. And I will not get political. Okay, so that we have is 2, 2, 2. And now we want 1 more of 2. We'll not get political because this is your fun time. This is the time to relax and do something for you that you enjoy and that is fun, although it can be a little bit frustrating, but it's also meant to be fun and enjoyable to try to make something that you've never made before. And this is a little bit challenging here for the first bit, but okay, just gonna get that, and hopefully this is going to be exactly what we want it to be. We've got 4 wraps of 2 little 4 wraps of 2 wraps, if that makes any sense. Okay, and that's what we're going to be doing. Now that you've got these together, you can take your wire straighteners and just kind of stand them straight up a bit, because this is going to be the bail. And we don't necessarily want this right in the front. We need to give it a little bit of a bend down in the center. Okay, because the bail is going to start in the center. So for now, you can put them straight up here. Just going to maybe bend them up a little bit more, because you want your bail not to be right at the front, because that'll be weird. And like right about like that. Okay. So now, keeping all your wires nice and tight and lined up, we're going to, again, for a while, hold on to this with your thumb. And of course, you could have done this the opposite way if you're right-handed. Again, I'm left-handed, so I'm doing this the way that works for me, which actually might be the right-handed way, but I'm never sure of that. So once you've done that, go all the way under, back to the first wire. And if you have to put some little bends to make sure you know which wires are which at the top, that might be helpful. So I'm going to do this once or twice more, and then I will come back when it's all magically finished. But I want you to really see what I'm doing here and making sure, you know, this is tedious. It's not going to you know, this won't be a magic like, oh, I'm done in 5 minutes kind of thing. Anytime you do weaving, it can be a little bit tedious, especially if your eyesight is as poor as mine. You'll get there. You just have to be patient. Wire wrapping really is about patience. It's very important to practice patience in this world, and especially with wire wrapping, so that you don't lose your mind. It's quite a challenge at times. Okay, so that's 2, and then you can just kind of as you go, these might try to get wonky and everything, so just kind of go back and make sure not only that these are all still lined up, but also that your wraps are evenly lined up looking. It's easy for it to get a little crazy there. And also make sure your wraps are tight. Mine here might be a little bit loose for this. Okay, so now we'll go back under again, go back in between, pull tightly, back over, in between. Okay, and then you're going to go up, under, and over the next one. Make sure that they're tight when you do this, because you don't want a big gap there. Okay. So then under that one again, making sure got the right wire. There you go. Then up under that one. And again. So we've got 3 of our tutus, if that makes any sense. Sometimes it's better just to watch me and not listen to me, because I'm rambling and don't make any sense. Okay, so make sure you pull those tight, unlike my first wrap. And again, as we go, if you need to, straighten this up. These things like to get out of alignment. So what we have here are 3 sets, and they are going to want to try to escape from each other, but just try and get them so they're lined up nicely. Okay, so there you go, and I'll be back once I'm finished. Hello, so I have the weave finished, obviously, but something happened when I did the last part of my video, in that I went really off screen. I reverted back to my old ways, and it just wasn't good enough. And so I undid the entire piece except for the weave and everything. So I'm going to redo that part, because you saw up to the point where I was doing the weave. So I'm going to redo that part. I already took the tape off, and I have cut these wires a little bit shorter, and they're going to look terrible because obviously I've had to undo the entire piece and redo it. And I didn't have any other rose gold wires, so that's another reason why I'm doing this instead of just starting from scratch. So what I'm going to do now is just go forward as if we haven't done this yet. And we're going to take the bail making pliers, and we're going to make a bail, and then we're going to take we're going to move these out of the way first. We're going to take this and push it down until we get that, like that. We basically want to make this to where it's going to look like this, and possibly a little bit closer, because we're going to wrap the other wires around it, and we want them to, now they're underneath it, of course, but we want them to secure it, but not to get it out of shape. So, okay, so this is probably would have been good to keep the tape on for this, but here we go. Okay, so I'm going to hold that, and I'm probably going to have to straighten these just again one more time here, since I got them all wonky when I pulled that. It's gotten a little bit out of shape. Actually, when you're doing this, it could be easier to do it upside down. So we'll take these wires, we're going to bend them crisscross that way. Hopefully I still have enough wire left after I cut off so much. We'll change the design a little bit beyond what I had planned, but we're going to try and make it look nice still. So this one is underneath, so I'm going to take that and wrap it as tightly as I can around there, getting the other one out of the way. Okay. I'm just going to push this back behind this in the weave because it's too short to do much of anything else with. Okay, and just try to, I made my weave awfully tight to each other, so just try to press it down so it's nice and snug against there. And don't want it sticking out on the edge or anything. So now that that's done, go back and make sure that this still looks pretty good. And we're going to go around the opposite way and pull that around. But before I make it super, super tight, what I want to do is make sure this is, see my wraps and everything have gotten a little bit out of alignment here. So I'm going to move these back, making sure that I didn't over tighten it so I can't move them back. So once you get them over the V, then you can bend that, try to get it right. So there is a lot of fiddling around that may need to be done, especially when you've screwed up the first time and you're trying to do it a second time. So just going to try and make sure that this fits under the wraps the way it's supposed to before I completely tie it all down. Okay, so that should look pretty good there, hopefully. And then what I'm going to do is make sure, because we're going to be bending these guys up and we need as much space as possible, I'm going to take this wire that I already secured and move it up as high as I can there. And then with this one that I've pulled around, oh, actually that was the one I just pulled around, so I'm going to have to do that with the other one. Okay, so the other one is here. And now I'm going to pull this around here and I'm going to just move this and just kind of press it up as close to the bail as possible, like that. So hopefully you can see that. Let's see. I may just unwrap this because I already wrapped the other one in here. So this one I will probably wrap in the other side. Actually, I'll pull that down underneath so that it won't be taking up too much space. Probably need to bend it the other way. Now, I think you can see it starting to come out the other side. There it is. Okay. And again, go back, press that. Try not to drop your piece all over the place. It's coming out through here. So just going to pull it nice and tight and then straighten these guys up a bit. And then I'm going to take my flush cutters, go up under there, disconnect that, and then just press it in so that it's tight underneath there. Okay, so that's what we got so far. I'm going to bend this out a little bit. It's a little bit not straight there. Okay. And the weave is coming out a little bit under here, but we're going to hide that, hopefully. We have enough wire left. Okay, so I'm trying to make the best out of a bad situation here. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully you will learn something, even though I've messed these wires up terribly. But I hope it's still going to turn out nicely, one way or another. Let's see. I'm going to take this wire, and again, just making sure this other one's pretty much out of the way because we've got the short, short wires are left is what we have left. I'm speaking incoherently as usual. But as I'm sure you can see, my wires are really looking bad because I had to undo the entire darn thing. So hopefully this will still be okay. I'm thinking, let's see, that making some swirls might give it a little bit of character here. So first I'm going to lift these guys up, and then I'm going to take this bottom one. First I'm going to put my finger on here because it is hard to get the pliers in there, and then start trying to make a bit of a loop. And probably going to have to turn that up like that. Okay, then I'm going to try to get these guys in here. And I actually might want to make that a little bigger. So I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to try and use this bigger one. See how that goes. Okay, and then just bring it around the bail the best you can. And you know, when you get to this point, do whatever feels best for your design. You want to try to make it, you know, something that looks good to you. And let's see, I'm going to move this in the front now. So we've got a little bit, if you can see it, a little bit of a curl starting there. And I might try to do, trying to make that a little bit small, and then I'm going to probably cut off some of this. Actually, I should have cut it the other way because I want to have that little pointy end. Okay. And then take the smallest part of the bail makers, and actually round nose pliers might get in here easier if you're making a small loop than bail making pliers do. So keep that in mind. And take your tweezer nose, make a little bend, and kind of close that down. And you can actually make this, you can turn this a little bit, make it smaller. Okay. So that's a little, it's sticking out a bit, and I might need to tie that down when I get done here. And then I might do the same thing on the other side. This wire is a little bit smaller, but I'll see what I can do this way. Kind of hold it down like that. And I'm going to put that in there. Whoops, move this out of the way. Try to move it in. It's going to look like a couple of eyeballs, maybe. So once you get that, you can hold on to the loop with your pliers as you push. Of course, I made my loop a little bit smaller than I really wanted to. So then I just try and push that up a little bit. And move it in. Now I'm going to make it a little smaller. It's okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to make some kind of interesting, unique design here. So here we go. We're going to go the opposite direction then with that. Okay, and then kind of bend that out. So then we've got a couple of side-by-side swirls that look sort of similar. Not entirely, but sort of similar. That's what that looks like so far. kind of dual eyeballs. And then we'll take the other wires. I think I might take this one and give it a little tiny curl up on the bail. Just kind of push it across so it's going to be like right over top the bale, and it's not exactly round. Pull it away. You can pull it away first to make it round, and then kind of turn it. Okay, now I'm going to just snip it off like that. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure again that it's coming out over the top, and then I'm just going to try to twist it like that. It's not quite as round as I'd like, but again, do what you feel most comfortable with as far as your design. I'm just going to try and get this rounded again, if it's at all possible. Okay. Just want to try to push that in there and then flatten it out. And again, I'll probably tie these all together with a 26 gauge. And then I think just for this one, and again, it's all about what you want to do, what you find appealing. I don't know that you find this design appealing at all. This is kind of a makeshift, not exactly what I had planned kind of thing. And I think I'm going to bring this up under here. And then I might, since these are going, they're both going that way, I'm going to go the other way, like that. And I would like make that bigger. It's not so easy. Try and get it really round around the bale makers, and then push it down right there, and then you can just kind of tighten that up. Once you've got that, you want to keep it in one spot. I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller. So that's what we have so far. When you bring it around, make sure you put your finger on that so it doesn't get pulled out of shape. You can tie it off. And it did try to escape, so I'm going to move it back. Push that over, and be mindful. I mean, I've already damaged these wires so much it doesn't really matter, but be mindful when you're making yours that you don't want to damage your wires. But if you do, you can always try to use a Dremel or a sandpaper. Just want to try and make that a little more round. I'm going to have to do that. You can stick your pliers and then open them, and that should help when you're trying to make something wider and you can't get what you want to fit into it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to bring that. And you could, if you had something like this, if you wanted to make it even more adorned, you could put a little bead in something like there and just tie that around in the back. And let's see, this has gotten pulled out of joint a little bit, so I'm going to back it out. Okay, and once you do that, make sure all your wires are tight. And then these can be separated out a little bit if you want to have them kind of show the stone a bit more. This is a glass, not a stone, but have them show that off a little bit more. So I think with this, now we're pretty much done. I'm going to cut off some of that 26 gauge wire. Just kind of run it through and secure everybody. I'm going to try to bring it under here. At least one more time. Okay, so that's in there like that, and then you might want to hold on to that while you're trying to secure it to everybody else. So I'm going to run it through here. Before we do that, we'll do it one time all the way through here. If I can grab that wire. Oops. So the little tiny wire connections are always challenging. This has to be moved back because it kind of got out of alignment. I'm just going to straighten this up a little bit. All right, so now that's like that. Now we're going to go to the other one. See if we can't get through there. Make that tight. So now these guys are tightened up together. Now I'm going to go under here. Sometimes you have to go close up to the end to get it to come through, because if you try it too far away, then the wire's too long and it's going to get all bent before you can get it through. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to go underneath the big one. Okay, this is the super boring part here. We're going to try and put it under so that it is going to come out on the correct side, and just up. Just want it to be like up here where it was close to where it came from. Okay, so that's all nice and secure now. And I don't think these are going anywhere. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Then you can take this, just going to try and go like right inside there. And actually that ended up sticking out a little bit, so I'm going to just wrap it around a third time. Trying not to go off camera again. It's not easy. Okay, so that should be nicely secured. And I think you can actually see what I'm doing, so at least there's some progress there. And now this one, I'm going to go underneath here. If I can, that's very tight. Pull that up. Okay, pull that back down. Maybe bend that out just a wee bit. All right. So I'm not really sure if I'm loving this one here. I'm going to just try that again. Just try to bend it in a little bit more. Okay, so I was looking at this and it occurred to me that this loop and the other loop were both going this way, and I actually wanted this to go the other way. So I'm going to just move that one. I undid it and I'm just going to move it so that it's going up. And my wire's just about shot because I've been overdoing it. This is just to show you, this is not going to be a beautiful wire by any means. So I will just do that and hopefully get it to go up and meet with the other one. Just be kind of similar. I still think it's too long. So I'm going to cut a little bit more of that. And then try to make it go upward. One reason I decided to take the attachment weaving wire off of all the loops is because I've overworked my wires so much that they're not going anywhere. They're really going to be tight. Fingers crossed this looks the way I was hoping it would look. Yeah, this one's bigger now. So this is what happens when you pull things out of the way you want them to be, but then they sometimes distort other things, so you have to be careful. Now I've made it too big. Too small, too big. So you do just, you know, when you're trying to get, and it doesn't have to be symmetrical, but for me, I kind of like it to be. So. But it's not. It's not. It is a little bit of chaos. So, but that's just an idea of what you can do. The wires are a bit scratched up and the curls are a bit chaotic, but I don't think it looks that bad. Obviously, you want to, if you get it all scratched up the way that I did, you'd want to polish it up. But let's hope that this is a worthwhile video, and I'm going to cut it down as much as I possibly can so that at least if you don't like it, you won't be wasting a whole lot of time. This, again, you want to have it so it's kind of right over the edge of the end there. And you can move these out more if you want to. And okay, I was just trying to get a second heart video that had a little bit more detail, and I thought the weave would be something a little more intricate for those who wanted to go beyond just the beginner. But of course, this didn't exactly turn out as I hoped, as I had to undo a lot of it, as you know. See, I struggled with this one, and I had undone it, and so I had some bad wires to work with and not a lot of room because they were short. So I thank you for your patience, and I hope you'll keep watching and subscribe. Remember, none of us are perfect, and some of us have broken hearts on Valentine's Day, and it's okay. It happens to us all, and I wish you all the best, and I hope you don't have a broken heart. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.